For this athlete who is faced with such an impossible decision of whether she betrays her country, whether she betrays her values. She has a family to think about, a son, a husband, her whole country potentially against her. And this is a very real thing that people face every day. It was a lot.
I am here to win the gold for my family, for my team, and for my country.
You are an Oscar-winning filmmaker for your short film from a few years ago, made with Jaime, called Skin. You are Israeli. Both your co-writer on this film, Elam Irfani, and your co-director on this film, Zara Mir, who also plays the coach, Mariam, are Iranian. What made you want to tell this story, and how did you wind up collaborating with those two ladies on it?
Okay, so in 2020, I've seen this article about Saeed Moulay, who was the Iranian judoka who represented Iran in the Olympics, and Sagi Muki, who represented Israel. And they were best friend behind the scenes, and they went to Japan, to Tokyo, to the World Championship. And they both won those fights, and they got to the medal stages, and they had to compete each other. And I started writing the script, but because I'm not Iranian, I'm not Persian, I didn't feel it was for me to write alone or to make alone. So I opened myself to Persian talent, and I saw Holy Spider, Ali Abbasi, who's my friend, and I saw Zar in the movie, and my jaw dropped because I thought it's brilliant. At that point, they came to LA to promote their film, and I saw the tape of Zar to play the coach, and I loved it. So after she got the role, I came to her and I told her that I would love to collaborate on this film. Elham Arfani was a very talented writer in France, and we met each other on Instagram, and I told her I would love to collaborate with you. And you know, they took their time. They took like 2 weeks, 3 weeks to think about it. But after they said yes, we hop onto this roller coaster of beautiful collaboration between Jews and Persians, and we found ourselves in Tbilisi, Georgia, shooting this film in the winter.
I guess I want to follow up about the judo, the choice to set it in the world of judo.
One, judo is very popular sport in Israel and in Iran. Both countries are very good at it. The other thing is that judo has values that other sports don't. You have to honor your opponent. It's not a bloody sport. The code of judo is like, it's not about hating your opponent. It's about playing the sport in a nice way, in the correct way. And there are like a lot of rules that prevent you from being nasty. It's not WF. It's not those sports. So we felt that it's appropriate to dive into this sport, and I don't think there was any. Maybe Kurosawa first film was about judo, but other than that, I don't think there was ever a movie dealing with judo as a platform.
Jaime, can you pick up on what Guy was talking about as far as the decision to shoot this in Tbilisi? Why Tbilisi? And logistically, what were you getting into with this?
Well, we scouted Greece also. I think for us, the main thing was finding the stadium. We had very little money, and we needed to find like the stadium that we could rent out for a couple months. And right when we started talking about Georgia, the war started breaking out with Russia, and Georgia, shares a border with Russia. And we have two very small children, Guy and I. And when Guy went out to scout and found that stadium that was, they offered us a very modern stadium, and then they said, we have one that's kind of from the Soviet era. I don't know if you're going to like it, but I think you went and saw that ceiling. And you were like, I'm home. This is, I don't care. We put our kids, for 3 months in a international school. They started speaking Russian together. And it was, the Georgian people are so lovely. I definitely could not button my pants by the end because that food was wow. But it was, I just want to say that Ari and I were just counting. There were 6 languages spoken on set, and most people only spoke one. So it was a lot like the Tower of Babel. hair, makeup, wardrobe, nobody spoke English, but we figured out a way to collaborate together. And it was an experience I will never, ever forget. It was an impossible experience that somehow we made work.
So, Ari, can you just share a little bit about your background and also how this kind of unfolded for you?
So I'm from LA, born and raised, but my father's from Iran and my mother's from Chile. And when I first got this through my agents, we share our wonderful agents that I love so much, I was so beyond excited. I think I was actually at the Academy Museum, ironically enough, just like having a day at the museum, and I got this appointment and I booked it out of there and I went home and I just started sinking my teeth into it. I mean, it was a dream come true to be able to portray my father's culture as well as dive into the language, as well as I'm a very physical person, as we all know, and I was able to learn judo with some of the most talented athletes, some of the most dedicated athletes I've ever seen in my life, women, men, a lot of women from various other countries, and it was the biggest treat. And from the very beginning, it was something that I felt a really big responsibility to portray in a way that was honest and also vulnerable. And I mean, I have not really words to describe the challenges that came up as we were shooting, because I just wanted everything to be so down to every detail perfect for this athlete who is faced with such an impossible decision of whether she, betrays her country, whether she betrays her values. She has a family to think about, a son, a husband, her whole country potentially against her. And this is a very real thing that people face every day. And it was a lot. It was a lot. And it's also been the proudest, most wonderful moment to date of my career / life.
And just lastly, this couldn't really have been imagined exactly when you were making the film, but the film is obviously coming out into probably the highest ever tensions between Israel and Iran. Is there something that you hope it sort of it has sort of an effect on people who see it now in this particular moment?
It's make art no wars. This is our kind of like concept. I wish we could see more of these collaborations between North and South Koreans, and between Russians and Ukrainians, and between Israeli and Palestinians, talking about what bother them. And I think it's one of those movies that are so rare to see, and that's what our governments are trying to prevent us from doing, and we did it.
Well, thank you guys so much. Great to
Thank you, Scott.
to
Thank
see
you for hosting
Absolutely.
or
Thank you,
moderating.
Thank you so much.